I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is an unannounced stream, but an important one because we're covering a special first time ever type of tournament. It has already started. We're actually in round 3, but basically, World Championship of Carcassonne. You know that. That's a thing. In order to qualify for the World Championship, normally you need to win a national championship, but not all countries have a national championship, and this type of tournament is designed particularly for those who live in countries that don't have national championships, and this is the one and only official chance to qualify online. So we're going to have a brief look at the players. There are 12 participants this time. I recognize some of the screen names. Isloun of Israel, the highest rated player with 573. Lycos of Guatemala, the 2 rated expert. I can see some other Guatemalan players as well, and also some players whom I don't recognize by the screen name. So it's going to be a 5-round tournament. We're in round 3 now, so we're here together for about 60 or 75 minutes to witness the decisive events. And so far we have 2 people on 2 points. No, actually 3 people on 2 out of points. The player with the screen name is Sloan, Disease Donkey, and Illusions. The second player is actually a new one for me. I haven't... Yep, there we go. Just to check in my draw tool. I haven't seen this before. Well, anyway, so we are going to mostly witness the top boards. We're going to try and have a look at everyone, but I think the way this works with just 12 players, you can really afford 1 loss maximum, but in order to guarantee yourself the spot, you need to win, of course, all 5 games. So Israel against Guatemala here, with 15,000 remaining in round 3, very tight on the scoreboard. So what are we having? Red meeples for Guatemala, black meeples for Israel, and 2 more of those for the play with the black meeples. We have a blocked city over here for the Guatemalan with a 2 versus 1 majority. That's going to be worth 7 points at the end of the game. Then we can see that Illusions just started another city over here, hoping to finish it. There's still quite a few city caps remaining in the deck, and Isloun decides to ignore that threat, so 8 points go to Illusions, but instead Isloun chooses to attack the main field, and this seems where the decisive events are going to take place. So on the field we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cities, so that's 24 points. That's really going to be important. And in terms of meeples, we have 1, 2, 3 reds and 2 blacks, but the 3rd black is about to join. So this is actually pretty interesting. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful move here by Sloan. So he's now actually, instead of joining this farmer, he wants to put yet another farmer on the field. This is quite common a tactic to basically take advantage of all the easy connection spots. By easy, I mean those which require common tiles to connect. So this one's a really strong spot for a variety of reasons. Well, first of all, it's you could connect with either the 2 remaining straight lines, so the 2 tiles that go over here, plus you're also going to get extra 6 points for that road once you connect. Or in the unlikely event that red draws both straight lines, then black can connect over here with something else. I presume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 2 curves still remaining, for example, to go over here. There's some other possibilities. So we can see that Isloun can't really do much with that tile, although I think an extravagant field connection was possible over here. So let's see. Well, now black has equalized the field and black is almost guaranteed to enter, so the Guatemalan player needs to pick one of its 2 strategies. We can see that by these quick points and by finishing this 8-point city over here, the Guatemalan is actually ahead on the scoreboard. So what this means that they can either choose to invade the field and equalize that way, No, that's I'm afraid that's a bit of a not the strongest move that there is, because of course by blocking one spot they're still allowing the other spot. So the other option that I was thinking is that they could make it so that even with the field, black doesn't have enough points, maybe to take advantage of the scoreboard lead and these 7 points on the cities over here. But with these extra 6 points going to black, this of course is not possible. Islu now actually can, I think, put in really tight grip on the game if he goes over here and drops a farmer for two reasons. Because like he can drop a fifth farmer, which he doesn't really need because he already has a 4 versus 3 majority. But if he drops a fifth farmer, this means that red will need to drop 2 more farmers to equalize, and there's just simply not enough tiles left to do that. So, and here, for example, that would be very strong. There will be already 3 points for this little field, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's a curve still remaining. So it's a very, very difficult situation here. And that's why I think Illusions has just simply gone for the point scoring approach, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Illusions really need to think how exactly she's going to win. So for example, I see an opportunity maybe like over here, hoping for the last remaining curve through the outside of a curve, because it does seem that she needs a farmer to win. And it's not gonna work out just yet. Black, I guess, eliminates some. Just black took the last field, but now Illusions can go over here and connect to the farm, and use the spot that was created by the black play over here. Because I think that might have been a bit imprudent, because both players are playing really fast despite having a lot of time on the clock. And if my tile counting is correct, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's still 1 curve remaining, which could have been used by red to try and equalize. Well, black drew the curve, but it's not like black really needs the curve. Yeah, and black actually had a guaranteed entry over here. So it seems to me that yeah, red had a control of the field with 3 versus 2, but suddenly bam, 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 and it's 5 versus 3, and black really just showing a masterclass here why fields are important in Carcassonne. So red will have the scoreboard lead and will have a lot of points on the city ruins, but it's just not going to be enough to connect all these little pieces. And we can see 24 points go to black, and it's 3 points extra at the bottom, and it's 6 extra points on the right. So Elias is saying, is Sloan looks like a very, very heavy favorite. I think like Lycos and Sloan is a very, very worthy final. I haven't streamed Sloan. I streamed Lycos, and they have a solid grasp on the game. So just really, I think, be decided between these two players. Especially now, I think Red had chances into this game, but you can see that the Israeli player just dropped so many farmers. I guess, you know, living in a desert makes you hungry and makes you appreciate every piece of green land that you have. Backgammon Finesse is asking, finalist today. I'm not sure. I think it's just the Swiss round. Yeah. Oh, Lycos lost the first game. Really? So it does look like Sloan's going to be the heavy favorite. Yeah, so it's just a Swiss round because the number of participants does not sort of allow for any, does not mandate any extravagant systems. Well, we can see that the play was screen named Disease Donkey. Who that is, actually, I have no idea. Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at them. Australia, interesting. Well, that's clearly a very recent account, but only played pretty much games for this tournament, so no idea who this player is. But there are identity checks in place, so we will find out soon enough, especially if they qualify. Alrighty. Yeah, display all encounters. So who else is playing? Let's have a look at some of the lower tables. Maybe this game between a Guatemalan and Cuban player. And we can see that Cuba's doing very well here with 26 extra points on the scoreboard. And I can't necessarily tell which colors are belong to which players because well, all the meeples are on the board. Well, I guess we can tell by the screen name. So it's green for Guatemala and black for Cuba. And again, a similar situation, but in reverse, where we have the red player, the Cuban player, controlling a little city, which I think, unlike the last game, still has a chance to be completed, because I see only 3 starting tiles on the board, which means that the 4th tile that would fit over here is still lurking somewhere in the deck. But with a 26-point lead on the scoreboard, it doesn't seem that it will be a requirement in order to win the game. It does seem that green has the majority on the fields, but unlike the last game, the fields are just not big enough. There we go. I think I just fixed the sound problem. High of Z. Oh, look at this, just the cherry on top. The completion of Red City, which was worth 18 points, which is basically the same as Green's Field. Green's Field also worth 18 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah. Plus, of course, red scores the 5 extra points for the road. It's going to be a convincing win for the Cuban player with a 40-something, no, 30-something, 35, 37-point difference. Alrighty. What else? And still one game going on between, again, a Guatemalan and a Cuban player. The Cuban player with a screen name Yoni Stark. And Rene Bulsara of Guatemala. Again, the Islander seems to be in better shape with 17 extra points on the scoreboard. And everything else in the position seems to be relatively equal, again, except the field. So we can see 7-point monasteries over here. And again, we have a big classic field fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the number of cities on the field after all the fields are going to be connected. So that's 27 points up for grabs. So, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red farmers, and 1, 2, 3, 4 green farmers. And, well, I guess green will need to either get a tie on the field or to find another way to win. And with 17 points on the scoreboard, it seems that the other approach might actually work well. Especially now. Like, this is a huge tile for green, because if they're going to just get a meeple back, they're going to go up 22 points on the scoreboard. and the field's gonna be worth 27, but they're gonna have an extra meeple, and they already have an extra point over here. So so let's say if they're up 22 on the scoreboard plus the extra -3 points, that's 23. Minus 27 on the field, they're down 4 points, but they are having an extra meeple, and an extra meeple in this position is worth more than 4 points. And what they could do is just simply like score 5 points for the road and orchestrate a win with 1 point or something like this. So they chose to just meeple a road straight away. They are having time trouble, massive time trouble now. They actually have gone overtime, but unlike some other tournaments, for example, unlike the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships or the weekly Blitz tournaments that you have seen on my channel sometimes, there is no rule here that would turn a loss on time into an automatic loss. But what is going to happen is that once the total length of the game has exceeded a certain time, I think it's something like the number of minutes allocated per player times 2 plus 1 minute, something like this. So 31 minutes is the maximum length of the game. Then the game stops automatically, and the win is awarded to the player who has spent the least amount of time, which will be the Cuban player. So the Guatemalan player. So actually, technically, what René Bulsara could do, and I think what they should do, I mean, for now they should just keep playing, but before the last tile, and some of you might say this is dirty, but I don't believe it's dirty at all, what I'm going to say, before the last tile, they should just simply stop playing and wait until their time runs out and not make a move until they are at like minus 18 or something like this, or minus 20. Minus 20 seconds on the time. Because even if they go over time, let's say if they're on minus 10 seconds, because Yoni Stark is already minus 22 and will be even further down, once the game is over, the win will be awarded to the Guatemalan player. Some of y'all might say that this is like dirty, but I don't think this is the case at all. It is, wow, well, we've just seen a massive blunder from Yoni Stark, because there was 4 points right here up for grabs, which I think could have guaranteed him the game. But now instead he takes 4 points without taking the meeple back. I'm pretty sure that's the time trouble, doing its job, taking its toll. And moreover, they're leaving this road for René. René, I'm pretty sure, will be happy to score 4 points over here, dropping yet another city cap into their field, which belongs to them. So a loss on time might not be necessary. But instead, that's interesting. So Red chooses not to take the points. And I wonder why that might be the case. I think the reason why they're doing this is they want to prevent an easy closure of this road, perhaps. So, for example, maybe they don't want green to draw a curve and another straight line or something like this. But the thing is, if that happens, if they are to draw a curve and another straight line, this is actually going to be excellent for the red player, because this would bring yet another city, this little city cap over here, into the field right over the curve. So I think this move was a little bit unnecessary. Yet of course red gets bailed out by drawing another curve and scoring an easy 4 points. And this is the situation where every point matters. So like these 18 points on the scoreboard actually not going to be enough anymore for Yoni Stark, as he has only 8 extra points on the field. So okay, 5 points on the road, 3 points on the road, 1 on the monastery. That's actually 9. So 18 plus 9, that's 27. On the field, they're also 27, but you could say that this is a tie, but this is not a tie, because René has a meeple in hand, and on their last move, red can just drop, I don't know, take a 4-point road, take a 3-point city, just anything that will allow them to win this game on the board as well. Nico is saying all straight roads are out. Thank you for pointing this out. I don't necessarily think that the players know that. mean, the players could know that, or maybe like in time trouble, maybe they're thinking, okay, maybe like I can't, you know, like process all the tiles because there's not enough time, but the straight lines are so common, so there's a chance that the straight lines are still in the deck. So something like this could be the case. FZ is saying, I like watching your channel because I'm still studying English and I can learn about Carcassonne and the language at the same time. Well, thank you very much. I'm happy I can be of some help. Although just some of my English phrases you do need to take with a grain of salt. I have been told to sometimes speak in a weird manner. But it is what it is. Okay, so Rennie with 1 minute on the clock. Plenty of winning moves here. Could just go over here, either drop a farmer or wait until the last meeple. But even now, it puts them at +1 on the in the total point count. But this is interesting because Yoni will actually finish their road, and they will have a tile remaining. And now it's a complete tie, and it's just a matter of who draws the better draw. So now René Bulsara can spend the last tile. He goes over here, meeples the city, I presume. Yeah, so that's 4 extra points. Now Yoni, can he take at least 4 points? Can he have a road? Yes, he can have 5. He will win this game by 1 point. There's one and only monastery point over here. Yes, okay, there's actually one more. Wow, what a turn of events. I believe the Cuban player will win this game by 1 point because of the last tile draw. On the penultimate tile, Green drew the only road end remaining in the deck to finish his road and free up his meeple. And at the end, it was just a coin flip, right? So whoever's gonna draw the Dorito, the triangle-shaped city, they would have the 4 points. There was just like 4 points available from the city in multiple spots on the board. So for example, a 4-point city over here with 2 shields, or a 5-point. Yes, so there was a 5-point city available. All this has to hurt. So Rene, I think, blundering this game. I mean, I also didn't notice this at first because, like, you see your monastery and you really want to complete this, but on the last move, completing your feature is not enough. You don't get any extra points for that. You only need to complete your features because you get meeples back to use in the future. But here, there is no future. Like, there is only now. And if only they were to go over here and take 5 points for the city ruin, because the city has a shield, 3 more elements, so that's 5 points. This would bring them up to 102. Yoni would still have the same monastery, but with the tie, this actually benefits the play with the red meeples because the green was the starting player, and with the new tiebreaker awarded, the win would be awarded to René Bulsara, even though the score would be tied on the board. So, well, that's quite a dramatic series of events, and I think it has implications for the tournament situation as well, because this means that actually Huacho Delgado is absolutely still in contention for the World Championship spot. But all eyes are now going to go to board 1, to the 2 players who meeting in round 4, and the only 2 players who have 3 out of 3 wins, and whoever wins this game has like a 18-90% chance of qualifying to the World Championship. So the player with the red meeple, the Australian, is the first on the scoreboard, scores an 8-point city, but right back at him, the player with the black meeples puts an Israeli monastery in the center of the board for 6 points. Red is trying to block Black's city unsuccessfully, as Black immediately draws not just a defense, but a tile that expands the city in the process. Now, like red is playing well. You know, like red knows their stuff, and they're making their moves pretty quickly. It makes me think that they're a player who has been around the block a few times. So like this is a double purpose move. They're starting our loop road and they're opening an attacking platform against the city. They chose to immediately utilize that platform. That's interesting prioritization there. I'm not sure what's better. Either going for the road and waiting for a straight line. Yeah, for example, this maybe would have been a bit more efficient. To maybe have a loop road first and then use the less valuable straight line to attack over here. And now they're kind of in a bit of a pickle. Okay, so, and so you see now they're like forced to continue their road in a less efficient manner. Also, maybe if I were red, I would have gone way more aggressive. I would have actually used the straight line over here to have 3 more points for this road and then just wait for 2 curves to finish this loop. And wait for road end to finish this road over here. It's a very aggressive approach. Sometimes you can get your meeples blocked. And red chose the more conservative approach, especially given that they have a bit of a point lead now. And they drew another giraffe's neck, the second of the 2 giraffe's necks, building a city at the bottom. This is looking very well. Very good for red, but black is finally on the scoreboard, finishing the city on the left and creating a vulnerability next to red city. So 3 out of the 4 starting tiles already out. So this square is very easy to occupy with maybe like a city cap, starting, yeah, city on top. This is exactly the move that Sloan going to play with a meeple upstairs, and now this square is damaged in the process. So again, a multi-purpose move. So look at this. All 3 city caps over here serve the purposes of both scoring points for black and denying red an easy recovery of the meeple. So, but then again, maybe with 12 extra points on the scoreboard, red does not need the meeple that much. Is Sloan now with a straight line, and here the trickiest move. I was going to say it's difficult to find, but actually black managed to find the best move, which is a bit counterintuitive. So they're setting up another monastery over here. Okay, and finally, I think the diseased donkey makes an imprecision. I think instead it was better to, it was okay to restrict the square, but it was better to turn the city the other way, simply to decrease the impact that black has for this square. Because you could say that, well, you know, there are only 2 tiles that fit into this square. There are only 2 road monasteries. But it doesn't matter. Like, eventually all tiles will be drawn. Eventually the monasteries are coming. And the chances are that black is going to draw, well, I mean, 75% chance roughly that black is going to draw one of the 2 monasteries. If red draws the first monasteries, we'll actually see interesting how red reacts. Will red fill this hole himself to take advantage of the easy 9 points, or will red do something else? Nico Element is asking, is Diseased Donkey a second account? I don't know, but if they win and if they are a second account, then they won't be able to provide document. Like, still a real person needs to come to the tournament. And if, let's say, that's a national of a country which is not Australia, which has a national championship, well, then they just won't be allowed to participate. So no, I don't think it could be a second account, but I think it's probably a second account of a real Australian player. Alrighty. So lots of events had happened, and well, black has caught up on the scoreboard, managing to finish this beautiful piece, drawing one of the 3 dagger tiles that fit into the square. Red is now blocked, and black has a monastery, and I think red now just made a mistake, because I think, Well, not a mistake necessarily. No. I take that back. But probably red should have considered with in such an open position with so many meeples to drop a farmer over here, because these two cities and loads of these green squares is just a big field waiting to happen. There's another one. So now Sloan's going to be finishing an 8-point city over here, starting a new one, I presume. There's another 9-point field at the top as well. So these fields will now just go like cotton candy. They're so important. In the meantime, red managed to complete a 14-point city on the right. Putting them back into the lead still because of this blocked meeple and because of because of black having all these nicely developed features compared to this 4-point road, which is relatively lonely. It's going to be a hard game for red, especially now that Sloan made a great move, dropping a timely 9-point farmer. So many players would have just liked to continue their own city and maybe wait for a better tile to drop a farmer, but actually this is a better tile, because not only does it grab the 9 points, it makes the field not impenetrable, but harder to attack. Because these city sides are nicely shutting off any invasion attempts. Now I can see some invasion attempts possible, so maybe from here, like this with a couple of curves, or from here at the top, but that spot at the top for invasion, let's say if red drops a farmer here, is actually not that good, because black will be able to counter or to block from above. In the meantime, red finishes a 4-point city, gets another meeple back, 8 points leads on the scoreboard, but now Sloan can make another strong move. I think going over here and dropping a second farmer would be very strong, because they would have 6 points over here, and they would have this extra city cap kind of shared between two fields, and I think that's how black can really run away with this game. Another alternative is to go over here, maybe drop farmer on the inside too, because again both sides have so many meeples, and I just don't see good ideas of spending those meeples except for farmers, and this is exactly what black does. 7 points, sorry, go for the scoreboard for black, and another meeple into their hand. Now red is trying, I think, to go a bit overly efficient, like overly aggressive on the roads, whilst the roads are not as important as farms are right now. So could have meepling another one, but now they need a curve over here, a curve over here. They also need a curve to score 3 points for the road over here. Like they need so many curves to kind of recuperate and get their situation back going into the game that it could take them quite a long time. Both sides drew monasteries. Black draws the monastery, which could have been prevented, by the way, as I told earlier. But black gets 9 points for the previous monastery, and pretty much another 9 points waiting to happen with 1 tile remaining for completion. Red starts a new monastery over here, 6 points, excellent spot. Still will take some time for develop. Now's the time to drop a farmer. A counter field, yeah, beautiful farmer. Black should probably now stop and count tiles here and really decides on the prioritization. I really like this move. They're not continuing their city, they're not finishing their monastery, but instead they're cleaning the city cap on their opponent's field, and they're actually making it much harder for red to complete the monastery, because there are still regular two monasteries with the grass side that are remaining in the deck, and now they won't fit as a result of the straight lines sticking in. So that's a very strong move here from black, and I'm kind of impressed that they came up with this very quickly. Even on the scoreboard, red still needs just one more meeple back to get to consolidate. They can afford to get this monastery blocked, but red has a bunch of objectives. They need to get this meeple back for sure, and this could be a bit of a trouble, because now this meeple scoring under 1 point, while this meeple up top is long gone, and they need to do something about this city over here. Okay, so that's a misstep for sure. We can see for black, I think it was definitely better to go over here. Would have been much safer. Now the city's kind of vulnerable, and I think if I'm red, I'm choosing between this move, adding, yes, 1 point to your opponent's city, but making sure that there's only one tile remaining to finish it. Oh no, there's actually 2 tiles remaining to finish it, so maybe it's not that strong, although I will still be tempted to do that. And another one, which I like better, is going over here without a meeple, preventing black from finishing a city over here, and also expanding red's field in the process. I think that was the stronger of the 2 options. Red went for this, can't blame them for that, but luckily for black, they immediately draw a defense tile. And now they need to make a decision. How bad do they need to defend? Because maybe if they defend over here, there's a 75% chance of them finishing that city, and that's really strong. But then maybe they don't need to finish that city in order to win. So I would certainly be tempted over here to go just take 3 points, get a meeple back, forget about this guy, let red spend yet one more meeple on trying to block this, and yeah, and this is exactly what black does. I would have probably gone for the defense, just because the 75%, it's like, even if you're not going to draw that tile, is just such a good probability to have for, you know, remaining together with all the other things that you have going for you in your position. And now we can see that red successfully blocked this off, dropped the city cap in their field, placed a meeple, although I think it's well, kind of risky. Black's continuing their city. Red drew a city cap, cleaning it off for 4 points, not finishing their road just yet. Like, red really needs to consolidate soon. Black just doesn't care about meeples. Black instead just meeples a 6-point monastery, which is never going to see the light of day, or at least is extremely unlikely to see the light of day, as there's only one tile that's left to fit into the square. That will be this starting tile like this. This is a position where black has many other uses for starting tiles, such as maybe going over here and blocking red's monastery, or just going over here and continuing his city. So even if black draws the tile that goes here, it's likely that he won't even put this here. So the purpose of this move is just simply to take the 6 points and have one more meeple in hand to use for scoring, which is exactly what black just did. 3 extra points on the scoreboard, plus 11 for the Israeli disease donkey with a straight line. Not many good uses for that straight line. Maybe he just chooses to attack the farm. No, not just yet. Simply drops it. A move that I really liked with a straight line was maybe going over here, creating a monastery spot next to your own monastery. And the reason for that is because this game could very likely come down to whoever draws the last monastery with the road, because there's this perfect spot for it in the middle of the board, a so-called evil hamster. Somebody might get, whoever draws is going to almost instantly put us over there and get 9 points and get a meeple back immediately, which, well, will be certainly good for their winning chances. And if such a spot exists, I mean, I would have probably been inclined to create one more spot like this, just so that I can maybe not only get the 9 points, but get this meeple back. But red drew the monastery, and red's perfectly happy about that. And 9 extra points go to red's scoreboard. Still black overall ahead because of their field. Red has only 9 points on the field so far, whereas red has 18. No. Red has 9 for 1, 2, 3 cities over here, and black has 18. 1, 2, 3 for this farmer, and 1, 2, 3 cities for the other farmer. But red has some potential. Red can go over here, drop a farmer. If there is a city cap still remaining in the deck, I do believe that there is. Yes, at least there is the one right-handed dagger that left to fit over there. I do believe there's a splitter left remaining, which would be huge for red, or because also if black gets a splitter, black's going to use the splitter over here. The Australian gets a monastery, which is not a great tile, but they just use it for points, and they hope that they can get a meeple back soon, either from this road or from the city. So they definitely now thinking twice, second guessing their choice to meeple this 1 point road and this 1 point city. Now black gets the much needed splitter to get a meeple back to separate himself from this big incompletable city, but red also finally gets his 3 point road after so much suffering and so much wait. So 4 minutes on the clock for black, 3 point lead. Black has an extra city for the farmer. Now black's attacking this farm over here. Red now will need really think really hard whether it's worth defending, because like the pure equity move that you want to do is to go over here and drop a farmer, right? And then just hope that black doesn't draw a tile to connect to the field. But does it even exist? It does exist, but maybe red can connect to this field instead. Black connects, equalize the field, and black still gonna have one more move, but red will manage to connect to this field over here, which means that black will be 12 points up ahead on the fields, which I believe will give black a narrow win. But of course now this move over here is a must. But the thing is, like, does red even see that move? Because the reason why you drop this farmer psychologically is just, you know, like a standard thing. It's close to the game. You need to spend all your meeples. You finish a city, you drop a farmer. It's like an extra 3 points for 3. At first, I actually didn't even see that this can be connected to this farm, which belongs to black. And this certainly would be an important move. You go over here, meeple the 2 point roads, and equalize your 3 point field with the 9 point field of black. So that would give, yeah, this is exactly what happens. 8 extra points for black, and Isloon for red, and Isloon here still with a meeple to spend. Well, what are they gonna do? Probably take 4 points somewhere. Actually, no, there's not a 4 point move. There's just a 3 point move over here for a city. So Reds can certainly be content with that last draw. But is it enough for red to win? It's going to be extremely close, as black is going to have the 12 point field, but red has the larger city ruin and more monasteries. I still believe that black has it by just a little bit. +7 for red, yeah, and I believe it's going to be a +6 victory for black. And despite the valiant effort for the Australian and a really solid game, like I'm actually really impressed. They're like playing at a 500 level for sure, like at an expert level. But the more experienced Israeli takes this down, and they're currently the only player on 4 out of 4. So this means that they almost guaranteed themselves a spot at the World Championship. And I'll explain why it is almost and not completely guaranteed. But first of all, let's check what you've been saying. 0. Yes, I know that Isloon played for RCP. In fact, yeah, but they live in Israel, and obviously, well, they don't have a national championship for obvious reasons. I played actually against Isloon. I believe that was either the World. I think, yeah, that was 2022. No, that was 2023 World Team Carcassonne Online Championship group stage or something like this. Could have been a European Championship. So I remember certainly playing against them. Elias is saying, yes, there were 2 untaken. Six-point fields in this position, but that's simply because the players just didn't have enough moves to claim the 6-point field. So, well, very dynamic game. I'm actually surprised at the speed as well. But let's look at the only game remaining in this round. Actually, before we do so, let's just check real quick. So yeah, we can see that Isloon here has 4 wins out of 4, but there's still 1 more round to go. And if, let's say, should Isloon lose the last round and one of these 2 players are going to win, so that's going to be either Disease Donkey or King Oscar. If they're going to win, then we're going to have 2 players in 4 out of 5, and then I believe there is some sort of tiebreak that they're going to do. I hope that in the rules, if somebody in the chat knows, please do let me know, because this is a very, very spontaneous stream. Like, I found out that this is happening like an hour ago. So if I hope that the tiebreak is like actually 1 more game in between them, so that we get to watch 1 more Carcassonne, but the tiebreak could be something else, like book alts, like it is in chess, or it could be simply the fact that Isloon and Disease Donkey have already played against each other. But then what about, let's say, like if King Oscar wins their last round, and let's say Sloan loses, and if they haven't played against each other, well, they probably have, then would there be another tiebreak between them? Curious. Well, do let me know. But oh yes, thank you for Elias for specifying this quickly. So yes, if there are more than 1 player with the maximum number of wins, they have to play another game, and we will stick around to watch that. Actually, there's a link over here with all the rules. Overall tournament format, playoff format. Manually created games does not specify. Oh no, it does. So real-time slow speeds, pretty much the same stuff as in the World Championship, the Mind Sports Olympiads. Oh, lovely. Well, anyway, we get to the rules. Let's just have ourselves a piece of the last bit of action in this round between 2 players who have already been out of contention. Whoa! And somebody's overtime big time. Well, I'm not sure if there will be connection issues or something, but basically, like what Yoni Star can do in order to win, they can just wait like for, I don't know, for a lot of time, and they don't even have to play a move. And then the maximum time limit for the game will be reached, and of course the win will be awarded to the player who has spent the most amount of time, which is the Guatemalan player. I was going to say with green meeples, but should I say without green meeples? Because wait. Let's actually make sense of this position, because like this move over here is interesting. Did green play this? Because this looks like a blocking move. And now, for example, what Yoni Star could have done, I think should have done, is like going over here and blocking this square and blocking 2 meeples of green and kind of sealing the win. So not all players know about blocking. That's a big part of Carcassonne strategy. So now, for example, Dohkogt, I'm not sure how to pronounce their screen name, so the Guatemalan player has started a new city, and I don't know if they know that or not, but like they've also created a threat to block this monastery. Let's say if green gets like a straight line or something, they can go over here and they can make sure that nothing fits into that square, because both of the monasteries with the road have already gone out. But of course, this is not the priority. They really need to get a meeple back ASAP, and temporarily they are ahead on the scoreboard. Now Yoni draws the tile which Green would have loved to place over here to have himself a chance of releasing at least one of these two almost trapped meeples. The scoreboard lead of Green has been short-lived, but even with the scoreboard lead, this is a position which is massively favorable for Red. These three monasteries add up to 23 points at the moment, and there's still a decent chance of actually recovering one of these monasteries, which is why DOH should like go over here and block, because the threat, yeah, instead he takes 2 points, which again, I understand why like they need points, but of course it was much more important to block. But then again, like if these players sort of maybe are not aware about these blocking and defense possibilities, so we should kind of take this into our consideration. Another move actually, which I think was even better, was going over here and pre-building this 3-point road, allowing like even if you, let's say, even if you assume that your opponent is not going to block, not only does this move serve as a defense, or just defending the square over here, it simply just pre-finishes your road. So when you do draw the one of the two remaining dagger tiles that go over here, then at the very least, and then you're gonna already finish a 3-point road and get a meeple back, and then maybe get another tile over here and finish the city. So DOH now, they dropped the last farmer. I would say a bit. It seemed to be a bit too desperate move early on, because if Green just finishes this city and then attacks the farm later, they'll be just fine. They're now adding this city cap to their city on the left, whereas I think it was better to add it over here to have a shot at finishing this city, and then maybe wait for some Doritos or some other type of tile for the city over here. But then again, why not both? They could still realistically draw a tile that goes over here and a tile that goes over here as well, but with that they have fewer possibilities for themselves, because I can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Doritos remaining actually, and no, not remaining, but 8 Doritos have been used. So the standard path of finishing the city like this is actually not all that likely. And speaking of Doritos, this is Dorito is a type of tile that this player, the red player, will be needing a lot. They seem to bet their last meeple on the ability to connect to the city over here. And only 1 Dorito tile remaining to do that. Still 3 triple city tiles remaining as well. So this means that like the player with the green meeples should start blocking this spot. But now this is an interesting decision. Like, I'm not sure what's correct here. Do you just go over here and split? Yeah, he decides to go to split, which honestly can't blame them for that. So even though they're giving 4 points to red and a meeple back, the threat of red connecting would have been rather devastating. But then there's another problem that green kind of needs to go over here as well to finish their city. But at the very least, green can pre-build their city over here and still hope for one of the 2 dagger tiles that go over here. So still in the game. The only problem is having -7 minutes on the clock. So I believe in just like 2 minutes the game will be basically over, because the system will stop the game. Let's see how the Guatemalan player is going to use this triple city tile, which doesn't really have many good uses. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm just gonna say that you know, make sure to meeple the like button. It's important if somebody's because not many people are watching this stream because this is super unannounced and super spontaneous. So if you meeple the like button, chances are YouTube will show this to my other viewers, and maybe to somebody who hasn't watched much Carcassonne in the first time. So this is a very strong move actually by Yoni, pre-building this road over here. Well, not pre-building, but even already meepling this, counting on one of the many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the at the time of the move, 3 curves remaining in the deck. Now there are still 2, a decent chance to get their meeple back in time. Still 3 tiles that allow them to get a monastery meeple. But now both players get to meeple back as this 28 shared point in finish is finished. But the beneficiary of that is, of course, this red player who has the 9-point farmer. And this 9-point farmer will be turned into a 12-point farmer once a curve is placed over here. And this road is prolonged, and this little city will be added to the field. So DOH, I mean, DOH makes a move which looks like it's blocking, but it's actually helping red, because there's still 2 tiles remaining to fit over here. So I think a move which was really strong for red, for green here, was going over here and dropping a farmer, because it's times to take some desperate measures and try to connect to the farm through this city by finishing the city over here. Another possibility was dropping a farmer over here. Whoa. So before this tile was here, if green would have dropped a farm over here, then red, by finishing his road, would have let green into the farm. So that was an easy farm access. But green does get a different type of farm access as he draws the last of the last monastery. Not the last, the penultimate monastery. From the deck, not only connecting to the field, but also meepling it for 6 points in the process. So red starts a new road, has a 20-something, 21-point lead on the scoreboard, extra points in the monasteries, and green needs to desperately complete the cities and also to join the farms. Also green needs to join the farms. There's a really lot what they might do, but the fact that the Cuban player keeps drawing the daggers that the Guatemalan needs so much, look at how well this would fit over here, is not exactly helping the Guatemalan player. So they really need to draw the last dagger remaining, and there's only one. There's only one now. And they need to do it very soon, so that, let's say they draw this, get a meeple back, draw this, get a meeple back, and there's no time to do that, because we can see that the tournament maximum time has been reached and they lose on time. Well, certainly sounds fair if you're going to spend 9 extra minutes. Now, there might have been technical reasons for that. I don't know, maybe their connection was off, maybe they needed to go somewhere, so we haven't seen the start of a game or don't know how it actually is. But kind of a fair outcome, you have to say. And on the board, still red was doing very, very well. So time for the decisive events of the tournaments. Again, reminding you that we are... Whoops! I think I named the stream wrong. Okay, I'm gonna change it later. It's still, I think, called the USA Championship Finals, which happened last week. Hi, Matt Tucker. Shout out for basically coming up with the idea and doing a lot of collaboration to organize this. So this is, well, kind of organized and signed off by the organizers of the World Championship, but it's a brainchild of the Mind Sports Olympiad. This qualification event, again, this qualification event for people who do not have national championships running in their countries. And we are witnessing the decisive events of that as King Oscar and Isloon on table 1 will basically decide who's going to qualify. So if Islone wins this, then they're going to be on 5 out of 5. They're going to qualify for the World Championship. If King Oscar win this, then both Islone and King Oscar is going to be on 4 out of 5. And this means we will get to watch another game of Carcassonne, because there will need to be a tiebreak, a playoff kind of between these players. So that's why I'm kind of rooting for the Guatemalan player here. It's not nothing personal. I just like watching Carcassonne, especially that this tournament is relatively short, especially given that we started late, because it's kind of spontaneous. And so far, this Guatemalan player looking very well with all his 5 red beautiful meeples lined up on his, well, in his hand, waiting to strike. And they already have 8 points on the scoreboard for this city over here. But again, the Israeli player happy to draw this 6-point monastery to counter, and it's an even game. This city over here is a bit vulnerable, but nothing too tragic. Quite easy to finish with 3 Doritos. And Black deciding to start yet another city, which normally I would be okay with. Like, normally I love meepling cities like this, and then maybe building around like this, and just being super patient. And if I'm required, then just like dropping a couple of tiles to threaten its completion if the game situation so allows. Like, so I really love this from strategic standpoint normally. But the problem here is that many tiles that would normally go to finish these type of cities, like such as the big tiles, you know, the triple cities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the big tiles have already gone out. So actually, there are really not many good patterns that allow to develop the city productively, and that's why I would probably pass up on it, at least at first. And this also means that a lot of other types of tiles are still in the deck. So like when we see early these big tiles, this means that the small tiles, the city caps, the Doritos, the splitters especially, 4 out of 5 splitter tiles are still in the deck, which is easy material to construct very rapid and very lucrative fields. And whoever has the meeple advantage is the beneficiary of fields, the most likely beneficiary of fields. And whilst this city looks okay normally, I mean, it has 5 points, it controls the red monastery, it could stay there for a relatively long time. On the other hand, this red monastery, which, even though I agree, it's actually kind of tricky monastery to build up, because it's next to city tiles. It's relatively easy to restrict with a straight line going over here, restrict to a dagger, and if red wants to get his meeple back, they will need to go over here, spend a valuable city tile on just adding a point into a shared city, which is a net zero move. Then they will need to go over here as well and add 1 more point to Black City. So really, I don't expect red to have that much of a meeple advantage anytime soon. And Black is doing pretty well for himself. Now deploying their last meeple on the 4-point road, which look risky, but actually that's a move that I'm entirely on board with. It creates an attacking platform against this red city. And it's very easy to complete because there's still 7 crossroads still remaining in the deck. If Black needs a meeple urgently, there's still 6 curves to finish their shared road of black and red, and a whole lot of city caps that Black can do to get his meeple back over here. So +8 for Black. It looks like a very, very good position for the Black player. Now I think quite a serious error actually here from red, finishing the shared road next to Black's monastery, which is a move that Black wants because it helps Black to finish the monastery. And this move was really only worth 1 point. So if you think about it, right, red had a 2-point road over here, and black had a 4-point road over here. So connecting a 2-point road and a 4-point road, you neutralize them, you get yourself net 2 points. But you also add 1 more point to your opponent's monastery. So this is net 1 point only for red, and it just does so much good stuff for black positionally. Well, first of all, it helps them to free up their monastery meeple sooner. It actually puts them out of their meeple troubles right now, because a 4 versus 2 meeple disadvantage and is not as felt as 3 versus 1 meeple disadvantage. And now, oh, look at this. Yeah, King Oscar is gonna bite. Gonna try to attack this ruin, but immediately I think there's quite a straightforward blocking move. So we could go over here and prevent this invasion, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 7 out of 8 triple city tiles, or well, big city tiles with 3 sides or more have already gone out, which means that there's only 1 tile remaining to fit into that square. And even if red draws it, by that time black could actually place 2 more tiles and restrict the square further, trapping this meeple for 1 point. However, as red, I still like this invasion move, because what red actually wants to do is not connect over here. This is a ruse. What red really wants to do is to grab 2 Doritos and connect like this, because this would allow red to place a tile over here and add an extra point to their monastery, and then with just any tile that connect over here. So I think the real block that black should attempt is somewhere around this area. We can see that red is attacking the field, which black had claimed early on, and it's a very juicy field. It's worth 9 points, and it's not just it's worth 9 points, is that it has a lot of green squares for development as well, so it can grow out of control very, very quickly. This attack, though, could be thwarted, because this square is relatively vulnerable, and black could place, I know, a city tile here to block off this square at the expense of his road meeple. But again, his road meeple is worth 6 points. Still open-ended, so can expand this road further. Doesn't really need this meeple anytime soon. So I guess ideally what they would want to do is maybe block the square and just keep building the road over here. So red gets monastery of their own, which is something that's quite important. They're now preventing black from completing their monastery easily, and of course you need to take these 6 points, because they only need to add 1 more tile over here to equalize the monastery, and is Loon making it just like an incredibly risky move, drawing, I know, placing the last meeple on a city cap, which I would say is quite easily blockable. Let's see if they're gonna get away with that or not. I think it's excessive greed here, because if this gets blocked, then like how are they ever getting their meeples back? Because red is not going to allow black to recover meeples over here easily, and red has the meeple majority to attack the field. For example, like over here, plus a farmer is a strong move. This is also understandable, to just connect to the field, get it over with, and leave black with an open-ended road, which scores well, but still needs 2 road ends on both sides for black to get a meeple back. Now, the reason I like this move with the farmer here is that it's possible to connect through the farm like this through a curve, and by connecting through a curve, that would restrict this square, so restricting black's monastery a little bit. And well, actually now this is a must move, I would say, over here with the farmer, and they just try to develop the farm and delay the completion of the city for as long as possible. I don't really see anything else lucrative in this position. Now also huge draw for red, as red drew the last triple city to connect to this monstrosity over there, dropping a farmer successfully. Now Isloon while getting trouble, right? The wrong type of dagger. They would have wanted this dagger to go over here, but doesn't quite fit to get 8 points for the city and a meeple back. So they will just be forced to drop this tile somewhere. Actually, a good move that I see is going over here and then trying to have outs to finish a shared city, just simply get some sort of meeple back. Because a 1 versus 2 meeple disadvantage is not as severe as 0 versus 1. Because when you have 0 meeples and your opponent has 1 meeples, it means that your opponents can score points and you can't. And it's not a position that anybody wants to be in. Just 8 minutes left on the clock. Decides to simply dump the city cap on the left. King Oscar completes the field connection and does the restriction and drops another tile over there. But now I think this is the big chance for his loon. Yeah, this tile looks counterintuitive because it sort of separates his field from his city from his opponent's city. But actually this works out perfectly because there's only 1 tile to finish red city. And it's a completely reasonable bet for black to be okay with red having to wait for a while before they can recover their city meeple, and 50% of the time red doesn't ever recover their meeple, and finally black gets their city meeple back. 8 points on the scoreboard, plus 13 on the scoreboard, and black is doing great. Even though red currently has the control of the field, this field is very difficult to protect. So this looks like a platform which is quite easy to use for an invasion, which is why there exists a move which, I mean, would be very hard for red to spot at this level. A protection move. So if red goes over here with this curve, that would eliminate this platform for attacking the field, and that's the best platform. So even though black has the meeple majority and the possibility to attack the field, like finding actual spots for invasion, it's easier said than done. Let's say if like red does nothing, black goes over here, invades this field, then this is almost guaranteed because black can invade either through here or through here, and it's not possible to block this. Well, and it's not possible to block both ways. But if this platform is eliminated, then the options for black are not great. So black could drop a farmer for 3 points over here, trying to connect like this, but then this square could be easily blocked. Black could also go over here, drop a farmer like this, trying to connect to the outside of a curve, but then red could just simply draw a crossroads, go over here, and cut off this black meeple. But does red know this kind of stuff? Like, are they able to do that? And no, they aren't. Well, they kind of are. I mean, this move makes sense. I think actually it's exactly the type of spatial move, and it accomplishes a lot. So first of all, it eliminates this connection platform, which actually is also important to eliminate, because black, let's say if black were to use this connection platform over here, that would have not only threatened the invasion of the field, that would actually have made the completion of this city harder as well. Because if they go over here, well, then they open a blocking opportunity against this little guy. And I need to remind you, there's still 1 more tile remaining in the deck for red to go over here. Finish their city, drop a farmer for 6 points, threaten a 3rd farmer on the field. Another thing that this does is actually pre-builds a 6-point road. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Maybe with 13 points down on the scoreboard and black having a long road to almost compensate for the field, it's a gamble that you must take. So let's say if red draws a road monastery or a crossroads, so one of the 3 road finishing tiles that are remaining, they could go over here and take easy 6 points and then just leave their city up to fate. Now, King Isloon here invading the field from the top, which is a platform that I saw, but I chose not to mention it because it's also kind of risky. So it's possible to block. Let's say if red draws a crossroads, the last remaining crossroad, then they can go over here and I believe make it impossible to connect because there are no straight lines remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But again, are they counting tiles? Do they know that this is the type of block to take? And there's only one true blocking tile remaining. It's like it's going over here with the crossroads and crossroads only. That would guarantee that this meeple doesn't get into this field. Everything else, there's at least a 50-50 chance. So certainly the chances of this meeple are looking very good. Red now going over here, and it's a bit of a crazy move because it opens, and I'm not sure if I mean it crazy in a good way or crazy in a bad way. It could be both. Because it puts so much volatility in the position. It creates a platform for whichever of the two players to invade the city. But this actually might be a trap because there are very few tiles for invasion. So if black goes over here, meeples this tile, tries to invade the city, this is exactly what they're doing. No, they're not doing that. And the reason why they're not doing that is because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Doritos are left in the deck. So no, are used, which means that there's only one Dorito left in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so this would be a very, very risky connection. Now we have ourselves a very, very interesting move from red, which I completely agree with. So it almost, this move over here almost blocks this field entry. Oh yeah, it completely blocks this field entry actually. Yeah. So there's no type of this dagger remaining. And well, red has to be happy. Black wins the coin flip for the 6-point road, but reds get to finish his city and be quite happy about it with 10 extra points on the scoreboard. However, this platform over here was still untouched. And actually, yeah, it's now very easy field invasion for black with his last meeple, sure, but it's actually very hard to prevent invasion. And I think if black equalizes the field, black will win regardless because red just has too much of a deficit to overcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 points on the scoreboard. And I see some possibilities. So what if we go over here, take 4 points, and then we go over here, drop a farmer, invade through a curve if there is a curve remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 curves remaining. Yeah, so it's actually quite easy to pull off this reinvasion, but then again, you need to see this pattern like whilst you're taking the 4 points for the road, and it's something that's not easy to do at all. So let's see. I think if red manages to reinvade the field, then they probably win. So 5 points extra on the scoreboard, 1 point extra for the monastery, that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points for the road. So 15 points is the deficit that needs to be overcome. And now it's kind of do or die. I think if red goes over here and drops a farmer, I think that's pretty much their only shot. If they're successful at the field invasion, and there's only one curve remaining in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, one curve remaining in the deck. So they go over here, drop a farmer. If they drop a curve, then they win the field because the field is worth 18 points. And yeah, and then that's it. Isloon gets a city cap tile, which they can't really do nothing about. I need to, they maybe can start a blocking platform over here, but based on the remaining tiles, I think that's actually useless. And the thing is, there's a curve, but there's also this type of crossroads remaining. But the thing is, red actually doesn't have time to use this crossroads over here. Okay, King Oscar has the crossroads. Obviously, they're not going to go over here, but, well, I mean, they are just going to take 3 points. But even if Black were to draw the crossroads, they don't have time to block the invasion over here because they need the crossroads here or here to invade themselves. And now this game comes down to whoever draws the last curve. Who it's gonna be? Is the Israelis going to clinch the game with 5 rounds? And this is exactly what's happening. The curve goes to the Israeli. He invades the fields, which actually is a bit of imprecision because if you count the tiles. Oh, no. Obviously, what I'm talking about. It's precision. Yes, it's perfect move. Perfect move. 1 tile invasion, extra points. And King Oscar here will have to go home or stay home, rather, and not go to the World Championship. So despite this valiant attempt over here, which was clearly the best move, the probability is not necessarily on their side, so you don't need to feel too sad for them. Like, after this move, Black is a favorite to win this game. I'm not sure about the percentages. How about those percentages? Something closer to 70, I think. Something like this. But yeah, Red just takes their consolation 3 points. And this game is actually going to be fairly close because by the end of the game, Reds even put themselves ahead on the scoreboard. And if only they had more time, they could have used their last meeple to score elsewhere. But ultimately, it's this long 10-point road, or 9-point road or something like that, 10-point road that's going to make all the difference. And the 10 points is the difference. So with the long roads as the decisive feature, Black manages to show why they have the highest rating on the field. And despite the valiant effort from the Guatemalan player, we congratulate Isloun as the player who will participate in the 2024 World Carcassonne Championship in October in Herne, Germany, representing the country of Israel. Well, congrats for the second place and the effort. Pretty sure that must have been bittersweet, but that's what it is. So, tournament results. Well, actually, some players are still playing, so we might have a look at some actions, but it is going to be Isloun with 5 points, Dizzy Donkey with 4 points, and then a bunch of players with 3 out of 5, Wacho Delgado, King Oscar, Yoni Stark. So representing Australia, Guatemala, and Cuba. And then Illusions representing Guatemala with 2 out of 5. Then the other 2 players I don't know. And then more Guatemala and Cuba. And also a player whom I haven't seen. We might actually have likely have after this ends, go and see the flags and see who they are representing. Anyway, we still have a bit of Carcassonne actions left to watch on one of the lower tables, as one of the people who I was putting as my favorites to win the tournaments was really between Isloun and Lycos. They're playing their Guatemalan teammates, and they are having no meeples, but 6 points on the scoreboard as a consolation, and they're probably going to get an extra tournament point. Rene's thinking how to place their penultimate tile. It kind of depends if there are any field invasions possible. Well, not really, because Lycos not only has 16 points on the board. Look at 1, 2, 3 farmers, just an ironclad control on a gigantic field. And with 3 versus 1 majority, could seem excessive, but actually given the size of a field, it isn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities on the field for an extra 30 points for Lycos. They also will be scoring for this extra monastery and this long road. And the question is, how do they have all these extra meeples to use for the field fight? And the answer is that over here, all the red meeples were tangled up in a fight for what looks like a worthy city, missing out on this quadruple city tile. Certainly must have been an interesting scenario about blocking, and maybe the play with the blue meeples drawing this quadruple city tile over here, like at the bottom of the board, which would have fit here nicely for like 30 points, for exactly 30 points for red, but instead just 4 points for the city piece and a blocked meeple. So very lots of big swings. If there's one tile that gives you 26 points and a meeple back, surely that's significant. Also, by the way, I just realized that Blue's gonna score an extra 6 points for this little field over here, because this farmer was just an insurance. It wasn't even connected to the big field. So on the big fields, Blue has a 2 versus 1 majority, plus these extra 6 points. So 36 field points is what we're going to see. And Lycos showing why they are the captain and of Team Guatemala, and not somebody else. So yeah, we can see 36 versus 0 field points, 44 city points as a result of all those incomplete effort for Rene Bulsara, 35 road points. How did that happen? Oh, I mean, I know how. It's of course this beauty over here, and then maybe some crossroads along the way. So quite a lopsided game, but we congratulate Lycos on getting their 3rd points. And finally we have the results. So Isloon on 5 out of 5, the undisputed winner and the representative of the Israel for the 2024 World Championship in Carcassonne. Then Australia, Guatemala, Cuba. And let's actually have a look at these player profiles. So I'm not familiar with this player, I'm not familiar with this player. So Cuba and Guatemala. So basically it was a qualifier for, well, it was an open qualifier, and I believe that we had fewer participants than there could have been. So certainly there's some strong players from Canada who would be interested. What else? Canada, Switzerland, Korea, Bulgaria. Like, there are lots of countries that have decent players in Board Game Arena, but maybe didn't know about this tournament in time or weren't interested. But we've got 4 countries, 12 participants for the first time this type of tournament has been held. So it's really an important step towards increasing and internationalizing the Carcassonne scene further. So yeah, going back to this tournament, and then again 2 players in 4 out of 5 and a few players on 3 out of 5 over here. Alrighty. So then that's it. Like this video if you enjoyed either the process or the outcome of this tournament, and I'll see you soon in other streams and videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.